40 Waters, how are y'all today? So, got a fun episode today. It's going to be a little different than maybe what you're used to. Instead of an interview, we're going to do a hot takes episode. We're going to talk about some of the stuff that just came out today. We're just going to talk about some things in general going on around the gear industry. I've got some opinions that I really want to talk about. And so I decided to get the other most opinionated person I know on the podcast. And we have no one to rein us in. It's going to be beautiful. Scott.
No Scott to keep me in line.
Exactly. No, we get to like really just let it go, and we're gonna really talk about some things. We might get salty. I might get a little salty. I sometimes do it, but
I feel like we're like the guy that like dropped the salt. Like that's us.
Yes.
We're gonna get salty no matter what. Like that's our thing.
Exactly. And it's gonna be good. So first and foremost, though, listeners, I want to thank you for listening. Watchers, I want to thank you for watching. Please do me a favor. The free way that you can support this podcast is to go, if you are listening to the podcast version, the audio only, please rate and review the podcast, share it with a friend. That really does matter. It tells the algorithm that, hey, you like this. Other people who like the things that you like might also like this, and it helps find new listeners. If you are a YouTube viewer, bless you. Thank you. Do me a favor, drop a thumbs up, drop a comment, subscribe, do all those things. It helps the algorithm find other listeners and viewers. And I really, really, really appreciate the support. For those of you that are really enjoying the podcast and want to support it in some way that's a little more substantial, that really, really helps me out with things like the software I use to record this video and audio. We were just talking about those costs.
Yeah, it gets expensive. Like people think like, oh, no. Well, the thing is, if you want to do a decent podcast, I feel like a lot of us in our circle are very committed to have a good sounding podcast. Like that's where you have to spend money. Anyone could go and just like record through Audacity and put it up on Beansprout. But like,
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's whenever we try to do good quality that we actually have to spend money.
Yeah, like hidden fees. The intro music that I'm on episode like 40 of, and I'm getting a little tired of it myself, but that's okay. That's licensed. I pay for that music. The hosting software, I have to pay for this monthly. The video editing, which I feel really bad even saying for those of you that have seen some of my terrible video editing skills, the software I use for that costs me a monthly subscriction.
I just use Microsoft
So if you
Paint.
want...
it's free.
Look,
it came with my Windows
Microsoft
98.
Paint did video, if Microsoft 98 Paint did video, I would use.
Do you remember Windows Movie Maker? I use that.
I'm trying to forget it.
I use that in all of my like. Anytime I had to do a project in school, like Spanish class, I made a movie because it gave us an excuse to get out of class. It's like, no, we're going to record this scene. And it was it was so much fun. I did a movie about Senor Taco. This guy, and there was a shootout. I added sound effects and everything. It was
oh my god!
I got an A, but somehow
that's a lot more work than most students put into any project.
It got me out of class, and I just hung out in the library all day. Like it was fantastic.
Oh my gosh! Well, so if you want to help support all the things that are happening,
random Diaz like flashback from middle school.
I feel like this whole podcast is going to be a bunch of those things.
I wish we had the editing software where we could do the bubbles and do reenactments and everything. That's the type of money we need, people, for this podcast.
Yes.
I want reenactments.
So go over to patreon.com/40watt podcast. And for as little as $3 a month, you can support this show and help make it happen. For $5 a month, you'll get an extra episode every week. And who knows what that extra episode will be in any given week. It sometimes surprises me.
1 week is just going to be me with random thoughts. just like random incoherent thoughts for 30 minutes. I will
reading your dream journal for 25 minutes.
And the submarine wouldn't sink because it was made out of styrofoam. That's a Stephen Wright joke, by the way. If you ever have a chance, check out Stephen Wright trying to rent his own dreams. Really?
I'm going to. So, yeah, you can donate as much as you want to monthly. It's a great way to give back to the podcast. And who knows, if we get enough subscribers or enough Patreon supporters, maybe we can just start animating this for the YouTube channel. It'll be all the same audio content, but we'll animate all the stories we're telling. It'll be great.
Oh my gosh.
I know I can't actually do that.
That would be impressive.
Again, thank y'all.
That.
What was that?
That'd be impressive if you did that. If you pulled that off, like you would have to pull in some YouTube numbers.
Right. That's reaching podcast like legendary status.
That's something Ryan would have done if he and he is the artist. He's the guy who would be able to do that. No problem. He would be the guy. Actually, I think if I were able to pull that off without Ryan, it would make editing Ryan jealous. So yeah.
So Diaz, y'all put out a podcast this morning as we're recording.
Yes.
This is going to go out tomorrow morning, and y'all had a fun time. But you mentioned something. I don't normally do a what's new because I don't do a podcast that's just gear and same guests over and over.
That's us
again.
over on the Effects Loop podcast, which you can find on all of your podcast catching software app things. I don't know what you kids call it.
The Effects Loop.com?
Yeah, no, we actually own that.
Is that right? Did I get that right?
TheEffectsLoop.com has all of our link tree stuff and all that fun jazz that Chris and Scott take care of for me because I don't.
You see, people, we are professionals. We have websites. We don't have
those cost money. That's why you go to
WordPress.com.
Yeah.
You have TheEffectsLoop.com. I have 40wattpodcast.com. That doesn't come free.
Yeah, we tried to use Angel Fire and it just wasn't pulling in the clicks like we were hoping for. Check out our MySpace.
Hey, so my GeoCities website is fantastic.
Oh my gosh! All right, Analog
I
Man.
got frames and MIDI music and everything.
The hit counter at the bottom.
With a little dancing pug above it.
You always had to have the hit counter because you wanted to when you hit 100 people hitting your website, and then you realize at that point in your life it's nothing but pedophiles, and you feel embarrassed. But here we are.
Oh,
AOL chat rooms
already, and I love it.
AOL chat rooms was a horrible idea.
Oh my gosh!
All it was a cesspool of creeps, and
it was the worst of society.
AOL deserves everything that's happened to it because of that. Absolutely everything.
And they invited it. They sent those discs to every mailbox in America.
Free 1,000
What did they think
hours.
was going to happen?
The best was you kept making new accounts to get the free hours. That was no one understood that.
Legitimately, what did they think was going to happen?
The worst part about AOL was, though, you couldn't play any games with it because you couldn't access the internet. I used to love Delta Force 2. The only games you could play were RuneScape or anything that was in a browser, but anything that was a standalone software, you couldn't do it. So you had to subscribe to MSN or something like that.
Yeah, and then this is how AOL invented the dark web. No,
oh my gosh, we're not going We're not going there. I've never been there.
You've just done a podcast where you're asked this. Do you have anything new, Diaz?
Wait.
In the last 24 hours?
Wait, did anything new happen in the gear world? Is that what you're referencing?
Well, no. I'm going to cover new gear because I have something I want to talk about, but I need to be polite and ask you as well.
Oh, I got in the last 24 hours. I got
since you did your podcast.
No, because I talked about the Switch. I got a SD card for my Switch so I could download more games. That's about it. Yeah. So it's new. Oh yeah, you do have a new thing. We actually talked about this, and I'm I'm surprised with the listeners right now.
Me too. The Switch topic, though. Yeah. I tried to buy a Switch last year.
Yeah.
And we all know how that went. I still don't have a Switch.
It's the only thing that I can ever find in stock. And it's actually at first I was kind of nervous that it was just going to be nothing but very Nintendo style games. But there's
little
a lot
kids
of
games.
Yeah. But I've been playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 like a madman. That's been the game I've been on. But it's a lot of fun. So my kids don't live with me, but they play Minecraft, so I can play Minecraft with them. That's really neat.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I have no clue what I'm still going to end up getting one. It gives me nostalgia for a PSP and because that was a solid unit. But no, I got something actually today. It arrived today. A friend of the podcast and Patreon supporter.
Wait, he supports you too?
Yeah.
I'm gonna text him real quick. You cheating fool! Thought I
Yes,
wouldn't
he
find
is.
out. All right, hold on. I'm actually texting our Patreon.
I've only
group
called him
chat.
out on the podcast.
Oh my gosh.
So, Ben, get me. Oh, I'm going to do this wrong again. Fair. Which one is it?
Fair. I believe.
Fair. Okay.
I believe. I'm
Ben
messaging.
Fair over at Electromotive Sound Company, Patreon supporter of the show, sells some pretty awesome pedals. I've talked about his phaser pedal on the show. I'm actually opening this as we go.
Right.
Just let everybody know it was like literally in the box that just came out of the shipping box because I don't want to show you all my address. Ben,
You don't want to show me
makes-
your address. Let's just make that clear. Like, I think you trust everyone but me.
No, I don't trust the webs. Didn't we just talk about how much I don't trust the interwebs?
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's a cesspool. So Ben makes a drive that I think he's discontinuing. So he's not going to make any more of these. So I had to get one because he only had like 4 left.
Yeah.
It is his Klon style circuit.
Right. The thing is, I have one of those. Actually, I have 2 of those. He had a 3-knob version that I have, and I have a 4-knob as well.
So I think, and y'all talked about this, I think the 3-knob version, the difference between the 3 and the 4 is so in the original Klon and in most of the good clones thereof, they use a double pot on the volume. So it does a thing where it brings in the clean, or it's like,
I'm not sure.
does this weird relationship.
Ian spoke about it extensively, and I kind of got distracted halfway through. If you,
It's okay. Ian spoke about a lot of things extensively.
yeah, one of the few guests. There's only been, I think, 2 other guests I could think of off the top of my head that like I felt like I couldn't get a word in edgewise, and it's very hard to keep me quiet. I can think of one other one specifically. So
I'm right here. Seriously, I'm right
no,
here.
you weren't even. All right, 2 others then. 2 others. There's another person I'm thinking of. I'm not going to say you have to listen to our whole catalog and then find the
listen to every episode.
If you listen to every episode and find the person I'm talking about and send me that episode, I'll send you $50. I will
Challenge issue.
I will hardcore $50 like to you if you can find out what exact episode I'm referencing.
That would be very impressive because y'all's catalog goes back quite a ways now.
We're at like 170 episodes, something like that.
Good luck, guys.
Yeah.
If you do find that episode and win the $50 that Diaz has now issued, make sure you click that subscribe on Patreon and throw some of that money back.
Yeah, there you go.
So the 4-knob version has gain, output, and treble as most Klon circuits do, but it adds a clean blend in there. It's also got socketed diodes, so you can change things out as you want.
So Ben absolutely hates the fact that I love my 3-knob over my 4-knob because the 4-knob is supposed to be an improvement, and he realized what it was the diode in it, and he's even like sent me the diode to change it, and I'm just like, nah. There's some, honestly, you get that pedal. I had a Prince of Tone that I still could never recreate. You get that random pedal out of a line, and you're like, there's something about this specific one that just grooves with your ears, and I don't know what it is. I had my Prince of Tone was amazing. I put everything at about almost 2:00, every control at 2:00, and I had it on the distortion setting, and it was the smoothest like butter sound ever.
Oh,
I miss that pedal. I regret
Ben
getting
did
rid of it.
send me additional diodes and things to try in there. To put it to different specs. I had him set it to traditional Klon spec because I wanted to start from that sound because I know the Klon sound well.
Yeah.
And then I want to experiment from there. But Bill Finnegan, in case you're listening, I have some of these if you want to keep using them in the KTR.
Oh my god.
I'm just saying.
So-
you don't have.
So on the episode we released today, I predicted that Bill wouldn't do the live stream forever. He would just put it off. And my predictions were wrong. So Bill from Klon LLC decided to announce that he is running out of specific parts for the KTR and is going to change them, which on that pedal, it literally says like he's not responsible for the hype. So now he's creating hype for the pedal that says that he's not responsible for the hype. Because there's gonna be
this
hype.
time you are
like
this time you are.
Can you
Please,
change the next ones? We know it's V2 because it says, okay, I made the hype. Like it's just an admission on this one. He's like, I'm just
no.
Just
It just says my bad. That's all.
Oopsies. the Quan oopsies. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So yeah. Bill is having to change some things because the magical new old stock Russian germanium diodes that he was using before, he's run out apparently. So
I feel like at some point, like you should have seen this coming. Like that's like I get it, but like sometimes the way pedal builders announce things, they're kind of like, we didn't see it coming. I mean, we thought that there'd be an infinite amount. I was like, okay, at least like, so that's one thing I highly respect about Mike at Analog Man is he is like legit straight up honest. He's like, there are 4 of these diodes left in existence. I'm going to sell these 4. Don't ask for them anymore. I'm not updating the website. It's $19.99 still. And we're all like,
and with Mike, it's like
we all just say, okay, we got it.
I love Mike's list of transistors that are available for his Sunface or his other fuzzes, but specifically the Sunface, like has this huge list. Like he's like, this one is sort of like this, and it makes it sound like this. This is sort of, granted, if most average guitar players, I'm putting myself in here, listened to all of those fuzzes back to back,
couldn't tell the difference.
What are the chances any of us are really going to hear the differences besides Mike?
Even with Mike, I would, you know what? I would love to see Mike do a blind shootout to see if he could tell. And it's not questioning Mike's ability because Mike has demonstrated time and time again that he has an amazing ear. He's up there on pedal builders like Brian Wampler is known for having just a certain ear where he can pinpoint a sound and make it happen. I think that it would just be cool, honestly, I think what we should do is one year at Summer NAMM, we could do a blind shootout with like pedals, same pedal, different diodes, to see how many of them could actually guess which one is which and get it correct.
Yeah, I think that'd be really interesting because it's like, I don't doubt the differences that Mike explains in his website, right?
Right, no.
Those differences are there. What I question is whether any one pedal in isolation really sounds all that different than the next one, or if he is just attuned himself so much that he hears these tiny differences. But he's not going to listen to my NKT red dot and then hear, I don't know, the RCA BART and immediately know which one is which out of the other million germanium transistors.
I feel like the only person who I would ever trust to do that is Eric Johnson.
Yeah, Eric claims to hear the difference in brands of batteries. That's all I'm saying.
Right. I mean, Eric Johnson, like, he claims he can hear the differences because of the temperature, like that dramatically. And I'm over here like, he's like got 4 ice cubes. He's like, no, 5 is too many. 3 is not enough. 4.
He carries around a bunch of whiskey stones to put on his pedals at certain times of the night.
He's just like, he's like melting. He's like, by song 3, we're going to need to change the cubes. Like, what?
On the second solo of Cliffs of Dover, you've got
but
that's
I
when
have
you
to
put
say
the blow dryer.
My Eric Johnson fuzz face was by far the most amazing sounding fuzz I've ever owned. And
was it really?
Yes, it's phenomenal. Like it
I haven't tried one.
So I don't know if you know, I've heard of Spence Peppered. He's a guitar player. He plays for Jason Crabb right now. Okay, and he is absolutely phenomenal. He's been on the Effects Loop a couple times. He's a hilarious person, a beautiful soul, and he loves the Eric Johnson fuzz face too. But it's so huge. The problem is it's so huge.
Yeah,
and it's awkward.
Literally a face.
Yeah, and it's awkward to hook up your cables because the cables are reversed from what we've become known as standard, and it's still,
that's really frustrating.
Yeah.
So I have the Warm Audio Octave Fuzz, and when I first tried it out in the store, I didn't realize the cables were reversed for the input and output. We just thought it was broken. Just until finally I realized, oh,
well,
let's try this.
I've learned a few times by doing things like that. I always look like, even though you should have some trust built up, like I never trust a builder. Like, I mean, like never trust a builder. These people are crazy. They
really are.
They're like I feel like people who do reverse input output are like chaotic neutral. Like they're just to mess stuff up for no reason. They're like, do you get pleasure out of that? No, not really. I just like to.
Not really.
I just feel like we should change things up. Like, okay.
The world just needs chaos sometimes.
Right? Yeah. You know.
Yeah, it's like, obviously these people are messed up in the head. They are literally basing their entire career on building, essentially baseball cards for guitar players.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean,
so
I'm looking, like, you can see behind me, there's a wall of, there's 4 of the same one right there.
Yeah, I'm really glad I'm sitting where I am, because you can't see all the pedals on the floor, because I've been revamping pedal boards.
Yeah.
So it's a complete wreck. I had too many. I've actually sold a couple recently, and I'm proud of myself.
I accidentally sold a pedal. Like, I had a pedal listed on Reverb for like 2 years, and it finally sold. No offer or anything. They just paid for it. I was like, dude, I would have taken like $30 less because I forgot about it. It was my pink Pelotar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I ended up selling that. Yeah, I had it up.
Oh.
And I put it up as a joke at first, and then I kept dropping the price, and then I just like forgot about it. And then one day I get a note,
then it sells.
Yeah, one day I get a message, your pink Pelotar sold. I'm like, oh, okay.
I forgot It was for sale.
I need a couple extra bucks.
There you go. Yeah. So Bill has made his announcement. It's driven the price of the KTR.
Everyone's freaking out. Everyone freaked out because Bill made a YouTube channel. Like Grandpa made a YouTube channel. Okay, cool. Sorry, I don't know why. One of the things that made people really freak out and like hype this up, which once again was a dud. I think I called that it would be a dud. They're like,
yeah,
hyped up because like Bill made a YouTube. I was like, okay.
Yeah, now
if Mike updates his website, God bless. I'm waiting to see 3 horses with like people on fire ride through town.
If Mike ever goes to a WordPress site, we're all screwed.
You know what? I would be afraid that it would mess up the system. Like now, it's kind of like the House of Cards, where everything is in such a fragile state on that website that if they change anything, it's going down. It's
going to completely collapse.
Yeah, they're calling for tech support, and the guy's like, "We haven't had tech support since 2003." What are you talking about?
And they go in and they just find out that the hamster that's been running on the wheel just finally passed away.
By the way, if anyone thinks we're not bashing Mike at all, we're really just like having fun at something that he has. There's no way he's oblivious to it. Like,
he's well aware of the state of his website. Yeah, he's absolutely aware.
I mean, he's got a great system. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's exactly it. Yeah. It has worked for him for however long he's been doing this.
I mean, the man, he works his butt off, but he gets to play too. Like, I love being friends with him on Facebook because you get to see he has a Porsche, right?
Yep. He races Porsche 911s. We talked about it on when he was on the podcast, and he's been doing that since before he was building pedals. Yeah. So it's crazy. He's a super cool guy. Had a lot of fun talking to him. He's super smart. He's so incredibly intelligent and nice. Just one of the nicest people I've met. Hopefully one day we'll have a summer NAMM or a NAMM in general, foreshadowing, where I can actually meet him in person.
Okay, let's just segue now.
Let's go.
All right.
Speaking of NAMM.
Tell them what we're getting this year.
Not shit.
I know, that's right.
So the announcement came literally today, this morning or this afternoon.
So horrible.
That Winter NAMM is not happening, but don't fret, Anaheim.
Because neither is Summer NAMM.
Because you're getting a Summer NAMM. There's which I'm assuming. I didn't actually read the article because I was driving.
There is no summer
but
NAMM.
I'm assuming that means there's definitely nothing in Nashville next
Yes,
year.
they made that clear.
Because they're not bringing winter NAMM to Nashville. That's not happening.
That would be fantastic because everyone would still be, it'd be like in the 60s. Everyone would still be having a great old time.
I'd love it. Personally, I like Nashville's close to me. It's close to you. We appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. Because I'm not.
Yeah, so...
when are they doing NAMM in Anaheim? When is it?
June
22nd.
Yeah, it's June in Anaheim. It's gonna be hot.
It's apparently Disneyland like season.
Oh God, I didn't even think about
End of
that.
School, I it's supposed to be just a cluster F. And
do you know how expensive flights and hotels are gonna be?
It's gonna be horrible
for Anaheim in June.
Well, I didn't plan on going anyways, but I wanted to be clear. I'm stating it here now. I am totally boycotting NAMM next year.
Are you really?
Yeah. I wasn't going to go anyways. I felt like making it sound
I was tentatively planning to go in January. Yeah. Of course, you know, COVID being what it is, but I've got a really close friend that lives in Sacramento area. He wanted to go as well, and so it was going to be an excuse to go hang out with him, go to NAMM, whole 9 yards. It was a good excuse. Don't get me wrong. Those excuses still exist in June, but it's June.
Right.
It's hot. I already deal with that where I live anyway. But it's going to be twice as expensive because of the season that it's in.
So I want to compare having the fact that they're like, okay, because they didn't do Anaheim this past year. They did Nashville. So I guess it's kind of a compromise to do Anaheim next year but move it. Like, I don't know if they're going for compromise or if they're just like, I don't know what they're doing, if they're just pushing it out because of COVID. But this is what this is like, imagine if your birthday is like December 22nd. And like they lump the Christmas celebration and your birthday together. So it's not like you get double the presents. You only get like one extra present because it's your birthday. Mm-hmm. And instead of getting like, you know, a whole bunch of presents for your birthday and a whole bunch of presents for Christmas, they're just like, no, this is good enough. So my grandfather and I shared the same birthday. So so we would have a giant family get together, but everyone was there to see him. And they're just like, oh yeah, here's some presents. And it's not like they were even good presents because they had to get 2 presents. So my presents were like Dollar Tree. Like I got Super Guy.
not He-Man or Superman.
No. It was like Him Man. You know, it was like off-brand stuff. It was like, it wasn't even like made in China. It was like made in a country that hasn't been on the map for 6 years now. Like, I mean, it was horrible.
This was made in Siam, not Thailand.
That's right. This wasn't even made in the country. This was made in international waters by a pirate.
on just a floating pile of debris that they call home.
Right. Yeah. This is the new toy. It's called Sticks and shit.
As someone who has a December birthday, I can completely understand. It is not a ton of fun. It just is what it is. And good luck getting anyone to come to your birthday. Because the last thing your friend's parents want to do is buy a present in December for a kid that's not theirs.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because imagine if they like had that talk with you. They're like, listen, we can get a present for Timmy. Or we can get you another present for Christmas. And you as a kid, you're like, fuck Timmy. I want another present. Like,
exactly.
We're not getting him dick. Like, we're done. Like, let's get out of the store. We're going home.
So
this is what NAMM is now. It's a consolation prize.
This is what NAMM. So, you know, there's been a bunch of conversations about this, and I know they've talked about it over on the oh my gosh, brain.
The WB? I don't know.
Yeah, on the WB.
On UPN? I don't know.
Oh my gosh, the Chasing Tone podcast. Okay. I had 3 different podcasts that have the word tone in the name pop into my head.
Jerks, Tone Mob, Chasing Tone.
Yeah, he was like, and Dipped in Tone, and there's Tone Talk, and there's too many tones.
Yeah. Oh, that's all right. That's my next podcast. Too many tones.
Too many tones.
It's literally just augmented fifths played for like 6 hours.
Stacked augmented fifths. Just keep going. So I have this idea, like this theory, and we were talking about this, and we were talking about this in the 40 Watt Podcast Discord. Y'all know we have a Discord server. You don't have to be a Patreon supporter to join the Discord. Please come hang out with us and talk guitar gear and other tomfoolery and nonsense with us. But
did I ever tell you about my Christian version of Discord? It's called One Accord.
No. Oh my gosh.
Listen, for anyone here.
Hold on. We need a moment of silence for that one. Okay, moving on.
Whatever. There was a Baptist that chuckled. That's all I'm saying. All right, let's go. Sorry.
So there's been some pushback on the concept of NAMM from some people, and I get it.
A lot of builders.
A lot of builders. And I get it to a very, very large degree. And I'm not a builder, so I can only speak, from one angle. But the most common angle I'm hearing is that in the internet age, builders don't need this advertising, right?
Very true.
I feel like, though, part of the conversation that's being lost is that NAMM was not about advertising. Like the whole YouTubers and podcasters and
this wasn't the reason why.
Exactly. This isn't the reason NAMM exists. It's what NAMM has become. Mm-hmm. The intent of NAMM was to get retailers in the same space as makers and builders and people who are, putting things out, companies that are putting things out in the industry and getting them into those stores.
So it's I mean, if you look at the name itself, it's the National Association of Musical Merchants. Those are the people who are selling the stuff. Like, even though like the builders are NAMM members, what that provides is it gets them to the merchants. The actual reason of the association of NAMM is to bring the merchants together. And then by doing that, they reach out to the builders, and then they get that stuff in front of the merchants.
Right. And I think that's part of what we're losing. And part of this is perception is breaking it, but it's also NAMM, the organization, is breaking it. Mm-hmm. They've made it so prohibitively expensive for builders to come display at NAMM.
It's a dying thing with the amount of information we can get. And I think NAMM is trying to cash in as much as they can while they can. And I think they see that there was an end, and I think they're kind of biding time to revamp their model.
So, I think that's what's got to happen. Yeah, I hope that that's what they're doing, because, people are talking about, we should do more regional things, or pedal-only shows, or guitar maker-only shows, and you can actually sell on the floor. And, I get that all that's great, and I think that would be really good on the consumer end, but I think that actually cuts the retailer out even more than they already are. Because, small guitar stores, local guitar stores, they're dying.
Right.
They are, a lot of them are struggling. Even in a year last year where it was the biggest sales in guitar history, they were having trouble getting inventory like everybody. But also things like the Sweetwaters and the Guitar Centers, we're going to keep them on the map for now. And the Reverbs and those kinds of things, especially if you are a music store. And I understand the trepidation, but if you are a music retailer that hasn't adopted Reverb as an online storefront or don't have an online storefront of some kind, you're gonna die.
You're missing out where the cash flow is.
Exactly.
There's a lot of places. There's a lot of people. The Guitar Guru Network comes to mind. Keith Barris, he started that. Kind of as like a very early on Reverb shop. I don't know how early on, but he was on there before I was on Reverb, and he has a Facebook group that's dedicated towards it. He started it really as a network for guitar players. It was pretty much in a time where Gear Talk was in a weird place, and he's like, okay, I want a place for mature musicians that aren't in here just like doing stupid stuff. And there was a lot of people in that group that like were kind of bigger names. One of the cool ones was I got to have a conversation with John Connolly from Seven Dust. He's one of the guitar players from Seven Dust.
Oh wow!
And that was really neat. We were talking gear, and but he went full time channeling gear, I think is like most of his sales are through Reverb, and he doesn't even own a brick and mortar shop. So if you've got a brick and mortar shop, you've got rent, you've got payroll,
staff,
you've got all this stuff, you got the electric, you've got all of these expenses. Why wouldn't you hop into a easy thing, especially being a business? You can set up pickup with any of your shipping companies that you already have a relationship with, that you're getting product from. Like, why wouldn't you do that? That's insane. I couldn't imagine if I met a shop owner that was like, I refuse to do Reverb or refuse to do online sales. I'd be like,
I know a couple of shops that have really kept from doing it, and it's killing them. And so, but my worry is, and the other thing is, small builders,
right,
I think, will have an even harder time getting into shops, getting into market space. And it's going to be that much harder because the YouTube market is saturated with demos. And of course, most of that's going to be the big box things, things like Fender sending out an American Pro 2 to every YouTuber, basically, that had more than 1,000 subscribers last year. The big box guys can dominate that space. They can literally cover the market, which I learned from the Cocaine and Rhinestones podcast, was a term that was originally, when you cover a song, the idea was that there was a song that was becoming popular. So you took your more popular artist, re-recorded that song, and released it to cover up the original.
Yeah.
So they'd cover the song. Right. Well, that's what the big boys can do with basically any product if there's no space for retailers to interact with that product.
Yeah.
I worry that it's going to, the lack of a NAMM-like trade show. I'm not saying NAMM, something like NAMM that's maybe affordable and incentivizes companies to come exhibit.
Right.
The lack of one will facilitate the death of small brick and mortar stores.
Well, I think it'll also help contribute to the death of a lot of small builders. And I know it seems counter to the argument, but even though it costs these small builders money to get there, I will say the benefit of where NAMM has become is that it allows quote unquote influencers, or really just people like us who have a platform to reach, so many people every week, for us to be able to talk about something. And that helps. I mean, look at Electromotive Sound. Like, you've purchased stuff, and the phaser was, I remember me just saying, no, you've got to play this phaser. You're like, I'm not a phaser guy. I'm like, no, you don't understand. You got to play this one. And you ordered, and that's a thing that, people have got to understand, is these small builders like that, they get some exposure. And I understand, being musicians, we understand how exposure bucks work.
Exactly. But, exposure bucks.
But
I bought a lot of dinners with those exposure bucks. Said no musician ever.
There's been a lot of brands that have blown up from just a video from a lot of the big guys, like 60 Cycle Hum. You've got I'm trying to think,
if you get a pedal shown on that pedal show.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, you're done. That's it, you're made.
Anything anything Entertons does, if they talk about you on there. Josh Scott, another prime example.
Oh, yeah. Josh Scott likes to destroy the market.
I feel like Josh sits up at night and is like, who can I F with next?
Josh destroyed the market on a set of pedals that you're familiar with without ever doing a video, just teasing that he might do a video. He talked about the gear supply stuff. And
I made
suddenly
bank.
You made bank.
I sold the whole set for $1,200. I net profited $800 after.
God,
everything.
That's so ridiculous. But yeah, Josh Scott has that kind of sway. Yeah. Right now, Josh Scott, Rhett Shull, and that pedal show are insane influencer marketers.
Well, a big thing is too, and this goes to our complete argument for these brick and mortar stores. There's a lot of people now who are sitting at home with money, who are working from home with money, and they're sitting at home you can order online and have it brought to your home without you having to leave your home. And no one, like, so I went to Guitar Center today, actually, just on a whim. I had lunch with a mutual friend of ours. We were talking gear, and I'm still debating. We're going to talk about it in a little bit, how I'm going to do an amp sim situation. And I was like, I'm just going to go to Guitar Center. And like, but that's not a common thing. The last time I've been in a store was when Clifton Worley came to town. That was early.
Oh, yeah.
That was like, I can't remember.
That was pre-NAMM, so that's at least 3-4 months ago.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's kind of crazy. So,
yeah, I don't go. So when I lived in Hattiesburg last year, January of last year, I moved away from Hattiesburg to Starkville, Mississippi, and I don't go to the music store here very often.
Yeah,
like it's nothing against them. I know Cody, one of the guys that works there. He and I talk a ton about gear. But like at the shop I went to in Hattiesburg, like I would sit and just talk and it was a hang. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not a hang here. It's like that would be the only reason I go in that shop. Now I ended up buying some things a couple of times, but I'll tell you what, I ended up selling more than some of the people that work there. Somebody'd come in, we'd be talking gear, and all of a sudden they ask me a question. I don't even work there.
Right. Before
I know it, I've sold them a Squire starter pack or like. I sold a guy drums once.
I'm guilty of that. I've had people like come in. Like the best was I had someone come in. I was playing. I can't remember what I was playing. I was just playing a Strat through a Fender amp or something like that. And the guy was like, "Oh, what do you think about that?" And I was like, "Yeah, no." And then we like talked about it. And he's like, "You make that sound great." He's like, "I'm gonna have to get one." And he actually bought one. Like I stayed there. Yeah, I was like, "Holy crud!" I was like, "Dang."
One day I was in the store. And this is why Carl, the guy who managed the store at the time, I'm assuming he still does that store. That entire chain of stores has been bought out by Guitar Center at this point. They were Mississippi Music. They're now Music and Arts. It's the band instrument division of Guitar Center now. But I would go in there. Like I remember one day, they have it separated. There's like a guy in the percussion section. There's a guy in the guitars section. They call it the combo section. And then there's like a band instrument person, usually. That's the usual trio hanging out in the store, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the guy that Jacob would have normally been in the guitar section was in the back. I don't know, looking for something. Anyway, I'm in the combo section just hanging out. Guy comes in, starts asking me questions. I start showing him instruments on the wall. He picks out an acoustic that he really likes. I start explaining laminate versus, solid wood and like all sorts of things. And we're on our way to the checkout counter when Jacob comes back and I'm like, "Yeah, Jacob, can you help this guy?" And like the guy's like, "Wait, aren't you?" Like,
no, I don't work here.
He thought he was taking a commission away from me. I'm like, "Oh, no, I don't work here." Yeah. And he was like just blown away.
Yeah, you're like, "No, I just like talking about guitars and stuff."
Exactly. So, yeah, and I worry that, that kind of thing is going away.
I don't think it'll go completely away simply because of the fact of there's a lot of guitar players who are like, "I won't buy a guitar until I play it first." And then we have to try to explain them like, "No, Sweetwater will let you send it back." Like, "Oh, I ain't gonna do all that." It's like, no, but they'll let you. You're like, no. And you're like, just whatever. Like, I'm done trying to explain this to you. But
yeah, I love Sweetwater's return policy.
I did it with American Musical Supply. I got a guitar. Yeah. I got a Charvel San Dimas, and like I played it one week at church, and I was like, "I'm doing way too many dive bombs. I got to send this thing back." And legit, that's the conversation I have with myself. I sat myself down. And I said, "Listen, sir, this is not poison. This is a church. No more dive bombs. We're sending it back." So yeah, I sent it back, and that's when I got my Gibson Firebird that I ended up selling.
Oh
yeah, no, it's I mean, it's. With the problem is,
I do love a Firebird.
The issue is with companies like Sweetwater and now Guitar Center Musicians Friend are poorly following suit with like doing Sweetwater. They call you and it's kind of like when your grandma calls and you're just like, "No, everything's great, Grandma." And they're like, "You need anything else?" Like, right. "No, I'm good. I appreciate it, Grandma." Like, "All right, call us if you need us." They're like, "All right, Grandma, I'm getting off the phone now." Guitar Center's like your like creepy uncle who you like,
or it's like your third cousin that's been has been on meth for the last year and a half.
Yeah,
you're like, "Oh God,"
you're like, "I'm great." Hello. No, you're not coming over. You are not. No, knock on the door. You're like, son of a.
No, this isn't Philip. Sorry,
Yeah.
wrong number. No, he died.
Hello, Philip. No, he had no more. Listen, okay, so quick random story. Don't tell the credit bureau, someone calling for a debt, that you died, because they'll report that to the credit bureau, and it gets really confusing for about 9 months when you're trying to get a car loan.
I
learned that lesson. It's true.
that sounds like the voice of experience right there.
100% is. I can remember the moment that I told them that. I was at work at Pizza Hut. I was at the service station. They kept calling. I said, he died. I said, we're trying to make the arrangements right now.
Oh my gosh.
And they, I'm so sorry. We'll let him know. And so a few months later, I was trying to get a loan for a vehicle, and one of the credit companies reported me as deceased.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, so don't do that.
Listeners,
Yeah.
there's your wisdom for today.
I don't know if that's considered
report
fraud.
yourself as dead.
Yeah, I don't know if that's fraud or some sort of weird identity theft where I stole my own identity for myself, like some Minority Report stuff with Tom Cruise.
like
this was in an episode of
I feel
Scientology.
I feel like most judges though would hear that story and be like, "Nah, justifiable." Understand?
Well, like, they wouldn't leave me alone, Judge. I was trying to work. Like,
Right.
I would love to get that judge. Who's the judge from up in like Pennsylvania area? He's always
the
on
guy's
Facebook.
like super fair.
Oh yeah, he's always on Facebook. Inspector Quinn is his inspector. That guy. That's who I'd love to get.
Yeah, that's the guy. That is the guy.
Oh man.
Yeah, gonna have to share his stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Summer NAMM is now gonna be Winter NAMM, which is it's weird. It's just NAMM. Do you feel like this is gonna be the move to just NAMM? Not a winter and summer anymore?
I hope not, because Summer NAMM is the only one that is logistically good for me.
Yeah.
Going number one. So I have pretty bad social anxiety. I can get pretty stressed out in large crowds. And honestly, that's why like everyone's like, Summer NAMM sucked. And I was like, it was freaking wonderful. I was like, this is great. Like, there's a lot less people. This makes me very happy. And everyone's looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, no, you guys don't know what anxiety's like. Like, this is a trip. No, I can't do it. Like, especially like just as crowded as a city, like as Anaheim is, I would never be comfortable. Like I'd probably just stay in my hotel room the whole time. Like Nashville's at least like small enough because I live in Knoxville, which is the largest. I mean, well, it's not. I lived in Tampa at one point, but like on the outside of Tampa. But this is like the biggest like city that I've lived in the city in, and even then, like, I don't go out much. But like I couldn't do Anaheim.
I'm looking up real quick. I'm real curious. So if NAMM, the average attendance at NAMM were a city in Mississippi, it would be the second largest city in Mississippi.
That's just the NAMM floor.
Yeah. The NAMM floor
attendees.
would be the second largest city in the state of Mississippi.
Okay.
Because the largest city in Mississippi is 166,000 and NAMM sees 150,000.
Yeah. So I come from a town that's 4.8 square miles. That's where I was born. So if that starts making any sense, we had a graduating class of just somewhere around 100.
See, I came from a graduating class of 25.
Yeah, so you know.
I get it.
Yeah. 25.
And I find that as
How
I'm
many of them were
older,
related? How many of them were related?
None.
Okay.
I went to a school where I was related to no one.
Okay. I wasn't related to anyone, but my school had families.
Oh yeah. Oh, mine
we
did
had
too.
the Barthels and the Bartles, same family, spelt the same way, pronounced differently, because there was a split at one time, and one side of the family was like, "Fuck you guys, we ain't Barthel no more. We're Bartle." Like, I kid you. You know what? Can't make that up. That is legit a history in Dade City, Florida.
So, there were families. Now I understand the question more. None that I were related to, but there were a ton of. Like, there was a whole clan of Meltons, and there was a whole clan of, like, Robertsons.
There was the Fagans.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there was the Fagans. My mom married into them. They're an interesting bunch.
Well, where I lived before I moved here, that county has a ton of brooms, not like the actual utensil, but the names, but there are brooms, BROOM, and there were brooms, BROOME. And same story. There was a split in the family at some point where there was a family feud, and they were like, "Screw you guys, we're adding an E.
Yeah.
We're not part of your family."
We'll fancy it up. It's no longer broom, it's broom May. What's up? Okay.
It was the most confusing crap ever.
You want to know confusing? Listen, we had to learn how to spell Withlacoochee. That's a city. There's Withlacoochee, there's Krumakoochee, there's Trilacoochee, there's just Lacoochee. Like, I kid you not, there's so much coochie up there. Listen, if I'm lying, I'm dying. This is the God's honest truth. And you can look
and you
it up.
wonder how Florida gets its reputation.
Listen, and I mean, y'all can say whatever you want, but that's what we had. Like
there is it is what it is. We've heard these, like I've
there's
talked
gonna
about
be
this,
one of your
this
listeners are gonna Google this and they're gonna be like, holy shit, that guy was not lying.
Right? They're doing it right now on their phone. And it's like, no, it happens. So here in Mississippi, every state has these. So I don't want to pretend that, Florida or Mississippi is on an island here. Every state has
Florida's
these,
close to being on an island.
It's very close. The next
Georgia getting pissed off one more time and they're out of here.
Or, that New Madrid fault line really hits hard.
But you just see Bugs Bunny with a saw cutting it off. He's like, I warned you guys.
No, it'll be Mickey Mouse, not Bugs Bunny in Florida. But it's, we have towns like, this was not the tangent I thought we'd go on, but, we have towns like we have a Lafayette County. We have a Lafayette County, not Lafayette. Lafayette.
Okay.
Which I actually think I can explain that one. That's a whole other story. But we have like a town called Kosciuszko. Actually, it's Kosciuszko here in Mississippi, but it should be pronounced Kosciuszka. It was named for a Polish-American general.
Okay.
And like we know how his name should be said, but Mississippians say Kosciuszko. And it's just... Or we have a Benoit, Mississippi, which should be Benoit.
Yeah.
But then you get further south, you get closer to Louisiana, down towards, Clifton territory.
Yeah.
There's a Gaucher, and they say that one properly.
Well, I think when you're getting close to Louisiana, you're getting that kind of Cajun.
Exactly.
Bit of that little
You're getting
French,
that French in there.
Yeah, a little French influence.
Which I learned recently. I'm going to be bringing this up, but Cajun was just the shortened eventual version of Acadian, which was the original term for those that moved to that region.
Huh.
Yeah. Once again, listen to Cocaine and Rhinestone.
Just like
Appalachians podcast.
Appalachians got changed to hillbillies. So I'm just kidding. If there's any Appalachian people listening, I'm sorry that we're on dial-up where you're at. They don't have anything up there. Like there's still like no joke, man. When I work at Burger King, dude, and there was I worked out in Oak Ridge, which if you know the history of Oak Ridge, it's a crazy town. It's where the atom bomb was pretty much created. Like it's credited for that's where it was created. And but there's so many Appalachian folk around there. Like once a month they would come down and you knew who they were. What's all this confound? That's electricity, sir. Like, I'm sorry.
Listen, y'all. I know that some of our listeners think he's kidding, but we did So I was working with the BSU at the college I went to, and we did a spring break work mission trip, right? And we didn't go to Haiti. We didn't go to Africa. We didn't even go to Honduras or Mexico. I
know this isn't a joke.
Yeah, I know. We went to East Tennessee and helped put plumbing in a house in the woods. That's what our mission trip was. That these folks lived out in the sticks. They had an outhouse still. Yeah. The house was built with the trees the guy cut down on his own land, and we put in indoor plumbing for him.
And he
that was
probably still hasn't used it. He probably still goes outside and shits. You can't change people like that. They probably thought you put the devil in their house, even though you're on a mission. They're like, that's just what the Democrats want to do.
Oh, now we got political.
I'm sorry. I take it back. I apologize. I shouldn't have said that. That was my bad.
No, you're good.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So
I have a big mouth.
So now that I have zero clue how we got here, someone's screaming at the radio. You were talking about, I don't know what you're saying, sir or ma'am.
Yeah, let's talk about the next thing, though.
Yeah, so next thing, reason you went into a store, well, part of why you were in a store, you're trying to figure out an ampless solution.
So I've had multiple ampless solutions before. I've had the Iridium, I've had the Kemper, I've had the Geneva from Westminster Effects, and I haven't found anything that the Iridium was fantastic, but I wasn't like, it didn't complete me. Like, if that makes sense. Like, I felt like I was wanting for more. So I've now decided, I can't decide is the problem, because I'm in a weird spot, because I've taken my board apart because I'm adding larger pedals. I've got a Rotosphere Mark II that is going to be on my board and stay on my board.
Still so jealous of that one.
And
that's one of those pedals that I have wanted one since the early 2000s, and I haven't done it.
Yeah, it's absolutely a fantastic pedal. It just does something. It's got a preamp in it that just does something magical to your tone that I can't explain, and I love it. So I have to get a larger board. So I'm like debating what size board I need, and I got to figure out what I'm going to do for an ampless solution. And I've kind of come down to two things. I want either the HX Stomp or the Simplifier DLX from Humboldt DSM.
Those look really cool. Have you tried one? Actually tried one?
I haven't tried one yet. I've messed with the Stomp, and I like it. Yeah. I haven't had one in my possession long enough to know if I love it. But there's so many positives to the Stomp over the Humboldt, and I can't. My issue has always been whenever I would be using it for mostly amps, some delay, some reverb, but I've always felt that the Helix stuff was a little bit sterile when it took pedals, in my opinion.
I gotcha. That makes sense.
Like, and not in like a negative way where it just sounds horrible. Not in a point where I'm just like, this is the worst thing ever. It's always felt like kind of awkward, like writing with your left hand. And I want to try this. I'm thinking about trying the Simplifier because I've liked all the audio clips that I've heard. I love the simplicity of it. I love how I can change stuff on the fly a lot faster than the Stomp. I'm sure once I got used to the UI on the Stomp, it wouldn't be that hard. But being able to have a knob where I can see where it's pointing at, for some reason, is kind of comforting to me. Even though
I can feel that. I can get that.
So I don't know. The Simplifier has a lot of cool things with. I love that it now comes with a channel switch and a reverb. So did you just hold up a Stomp?
That's really cool.
I wasn't looking.
I forgot that they had changed that.
Yes.
That they updated it. The original didn't have that, right?
Right. And I love it. I love the look of it. They went from a white one to a black one, and the black one just looks really sleek.
I remember when those came out, and like I watched an Anderton's video on them, and I thought they sounded really, really good. But now there's like this glut of amp alternatives now. Right. I won't say a glut. I guess it's not 3-knob overdrive territory or anything.
Right.
But there are so many options. I was going to mention I grabbed this because this is my small board, which I've actually changed up a little bit. But actually, it's not even fully finished wiring yet. But that's why I like the HX Stomp, because I typically just use it for effects. But it's there if amp goes down.
Right.
I still have the amp. I can change to a different patch where I have the amp added to it, and I can go direct. This is the board that has my King of Tone as well, just to pull it full circle.
Yeah.
But that is usually my go-to solution. But again, I haven't tried the Simplifier.
One thing I like about the Simplifier that has it beat over the Iridium is that it has
That was going to be my next question.
has the effects loop and you can run the headphones after the effects loop, because with the Iridium you had to either run it last if you wanted to hear your entire sound with headphones. But so a negative thing though is that the IRs are stock and you cannot load anymore.
Oh, okay.
From what I understand, I could be wrong, but
so do you have an amp at all right now?
Yeah, I've got an Excelsior.
Okay.
So
have you? Well, I guess something like a load box, like a Torpedo Captor X.
I really don't want to. If I start playing out again, I really want to make it as simple as possible for loadout.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I don't
you
want
to do that route.
Yeah, because I honestly, I feel like the sound is better without an amp because you're not fighting for stage volume and stuff like that. It just makes life a lot easier, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Huh? Have you tried? Oh, there's one.
Sorry, my dog is growling at me. I think he wants something, but dude, no.
But you're not sure?
I'm recording a podcast, sir.
He knows. That's why he's bugging you.
Yes, he's just scared. Y'all can hear.
Pitiful.
Yeah.
Pitiful.
Go. I know. You probably need water. Go. This is what he does until I tell him to show me, and then he'll show me what he needs. Now he's just getting mad. Okay, I'll keep him distracted.
Okay, I was looking. I used to use my ampless solution for a little while was a radial direct drive.
Okay.
Have you seen one of those?
Mm-mm.
So it's about the size of, I don't know, it's a little smaller than the single size Strymon pedals.
Okay.
It's got a XLR out. It's also got a 1/4 inch out, and it's got a 1/4 inch through. So if you were still going to an amp and needed this also for direct, but it's super bare bones. It's super simple. It's got a polarity reverse. It's got a ground lift, and it's got 3 amp voicings. It's got a combo, which is like a Fender sound. Mm-hmm. It's got a stack, which is like a Marshall sound, and then it's got like a JDX 412. It's like their own amp model.
Okay.
And the Fender and the Marshall have a bright switch as well.
Oh, wow.
And that's it. And that it's always on. It's never off. So it's like once you plug in, you're in. Super simple. There's no adding IRs. There's nothing like that. But it doesn't have a headphone out, so you're not getting that extra feature. I thought it had one. I couldn't remember. I had to look it up.
So,
but if
I was thinking about the Walrus as well, they've got the the AC one or AS one or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah.
They had that at the Guitar Center I went to today. I didn't mess with it. I probably should have, but I mean, but that's like AC1.
Yeah, very similar to the Iridium.
Right.
But with this one, you can actually do different amps in stereo.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So that's interesting if you're really into stereo or dual mono technically, but do different amps. I don't know. It's that one. There's a point where differentiating between dual mono and stereo starts to mess with my brain, and I can't do it anymore. Is it only true stereo if you go to 2 of the same amps?
I have no idea.
I mean, is it only dual mono if you go to 2 of the same amps, but the moment you swap one of those amps out, I don't know.
That's an Andrew Hensley question. He knows all about that.
Yeah, that's a not for me question.
That man is a routing
I like playing
genius.
I like 2 amps. I know that's what I know. I like playing through 2 amps. I feed them the same signal.
Right.
That's all I know.
Right.
I don't know. There's so many options out there now. I think it's going to boil down to.
I'm doing 4. I'm going quadraphonic.
Oh God. Well, you may as well just go into a full Atmos rig at this point. Then
I want all the amps. Just every amp.
Could you imagine like
100 amps?
You've seen the pictures. You've seen the pictures of the Stevie Ray Vaughan rig in the studio, right? Where he's got like his tech built him a special box where he could plug into the center and it feeds like 6 or 7 amps all at once.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if instead you had just like encircled those around the room?
You need a lot of drugs at that point, like to really appreciate what's happening. Like Keith Moon level amounts of drugs and alcohol.
I could see that. That's what one of these days I need to get all of the splitters
I
and
thought you were going
signals.
to talk about doing all the drugs. I was like, Phil, calm down, buddy. No,
we're gonna let that lie. I'm not gonna go near that one.
Yeah.
But
no.
one of these times, I do want to. Like, I've got, how many guitar amps do I have? I have 5 guitar amps. One of these days, I want to get all the splitters I need and do that. Just set them up in like the ultimate, like, feed one into a stereo reverb that half of that feeds to another stereo pedal to another until it's like just complete wash.
Just run a 16-channel mixer with every channel being a part of that stereo mix out.
I could totally do that.
Oh my gosh, please don't do that.
I could.
You have to release the stems. Like, just release all the stems as one giant pack, and like, so you could go through and like mute whatever you want.
See, this would be insane.
Interactive.
I'm gonna need a lot more space. I may have to take all these amps up to work.
So that's when Philip
put
his house out on the market. he's like, no, honey, it's for the podcast.
I need another 700 square feet.
That's right. No.
That's just one
We're
room.
selling the house. Why? The podcast. You don't understand. We're doing it for the podcast. She's like,
I've used that excuse a lot.
She's like, who's
so...
this we? You got a mouse in your pocket? And she's like, I'm going to keep living here. You can go live somewhere else.
Oh, man. Well, if listeners, if you have any suggestions for ampless rig solutions for Diaz, put them down in the comments. Put them, you can send them to me at 40wattpodcast@gmail.com and I'll forward them on.
Yeah. He'll screenshot them and send them to me.
I'll screenshot them. Other than that, I think we're going to wrap it up. We're going to go over to the Patreon section of the podcast for a few minutes and be really ridiculous over there.
Wait, we got to get more ridiculous? Oh, this is going to be great.
Yeah, once we're behind the paywall, then the gloves come off. So,
what about pants?
Or, I mean, mine have already been off this whole time. So.
Yeah. 40 watt after dark, baby. Yeah, it's like Showtime. You have to flick the channel really quick to see if you can catch a flash.
So one of my Patreon supporters told me I need to start giving guests an opportunity to sign off at the end of the episode. How do I do that?
I have no idea.
I'm not good at this.
The only sign off I know is for my podcast. You should just start letting everyone do their own sign off for their show or whatever on your podcast.
Yeah, that's what we'll do.
For the effects loop, I'm Diaz. Oh my god.
And I'm Phillip.
And we'll see you next week, guys. Bye.
Oh my god. Something like that. Or because my sign off is, we'll see you next week, and in the meantime, be good to yourselves, be kind to each other, and make some noise.
Yeah, but he said, I couldn't remember all that. I can't even remember my catchphrase.
Dude, I don't remember half the time.
Oh my gosh. That was $20 right there, people. $20 for this song that I'm interrupting. Give the man some money.